Hi guys, welcome back to Hanging with Hastings. Today we're going to have a very special episode as I'm talking to my good friend Tom Joyce here. And we're going to talk about, number one, his book of poetry that he wrote called Impressions. I'm very jealous because I always wanted to write a book. And you can pick this up on Amazon. That's where I got my copy. I can't remember how much it was because I bought it a year ago.
I think.
$10? $10 to support Tommy and his book. I read it again this morning, and I just think it was really so many cool things in it. What inspired you to write this?
I've always loved writing poetry. I read a quote one time years ago that it really took to me, and it said, "Poetry is the most purest form of art because there's no constraints in it anyway." Mm-hmm. So it's just a great way to express ideas, feelings, to live memories. There's just a whole wealth of emotions that you can express and then process through writing poetry. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it was really it was like challenged your mind, like thinking about the stuff. A lot of thought provoking imagery in the book.
Thank you.
And then, of course, part of me being a jerk, I was thinking of Jack Handy.
Yeah.
From Saturday Night Live. Remember that Deep Thoughts from Jack? I was like, Impressions. Impressions with Thomas Joyce.
Yeah. But I enjoy writing it, and the hardest part was, selecting the poems to go into it, because I had literally hundreds of poems I've written over the years, and trying to select the best ones. I thought, it wasn't easy, but I tried to get for the ones I think would have the broadest appeal. They would appeal to the most amount of people.
I had no idea that you wrote poetry that long.
I started in high school.
Did you?
Yeah.
See, I used to write books in high school.
I remember.
And
I remember the short stories you wrote.
I would write the stories and then pass them along as I'm writing them to people. And that's why I said I always wanted to write a book. So
I remember the story you wrote about the young man who eventually becomes a rock star and he has a disillusioned life.
You know what that was? That was Shooting
Tragic
Star.
Ending. It was Shooting Star.
It was based on the Bad Company song.
It was.
And then when he dies at the end, I remember these girls like crying in study hall. Why'd you kill him? Yeah. Like, don't you know the song? I didn't kill him. Paul Rogers did.
Exactly. So that was what, 9th grade? You think?
Oh man, 9th, 10th grade around there. I did it all through that, but like I said, I'm thinking, to myself, maybe when if I can no longer play music. That maybe that's the next step, because I love creating and that. Yeah. And when I saw that you wrote this book, I was just like, oh, look at that, my budget is published.
Well, you're writing songs, and song is just another form of poetry. So you've already established yourself as a lyricist, and the step from lyricist to poet is right there.
How did you go about getting it published?
I just called the Author House, the company, and I submitted it to them, and they came back and said that you were interested in publishing it. Yeah, and I went with it through that way. And again, I like the opportunity to present ideas that other people might look at that and say, I understand that, or it reminds me of something that I went through, or reminds me of something that, I've been thinking about, or I've been feeling. And I think that's real poetry and music does the same thing. It connects people, through words.
Oh yeah, I mean for me, like you said, lyrics. I've always been a poetry and lyric freak with stuff like Right. But what I find interesting with this too is I read this whole book and like sat down and looked over a little over an hour. I was done. Yeah. So this is a nice if you have if you want to kill some time. Before bed.
Beach read.
If you're on a beach, you're doing some summertime here, so. Unfortunately, it's 55 degrees today, but tomorrow might be nice. Yeah, so go out on Amazon and check out Impressions by Thomas Joyce. I think you're going to enjoy it.
I appreciate that.
All right. And you got to sign that for me before I leave.
Absolutely.
Now let's go on and talk some personal stuff. Tom and I, we've known each other since kindergarten. We went to St. Francis together, and from kindergarten to 8th grade, and then Tonawanda High School up till graduation together. So we've known each other since we were like 4 years old. Yeah. And
it's amazing to think about it. When you say it out loud, it hits you,
Yeah, when you put it that way, that's 56 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time,
man. Can't be that. We can't be that old.
We are that old, man. At least you got hair, so you're doing something right. And you got like what, 48 kids now?
It's 6.
It's 6.
648,
Well, I'm doing the metric system.
Yeah,
So.
all girls. So
All
I'm
girls.
blessed. I love all my girls, and I'm really lucky to have all of them.
Yeah, and the little one
Yeah,
too. I mean, wow.
Cassidy. Yeah, she'll be 10 in September.
See, that's the even my stepchildren. My youngest stepchild is going to be 20. So I'm out of all those things. You know, my kids are 37 and 35.
Right.
So it's
Chef Swan, if you watch this, it's me and you, brother.
Chef Swan too.
Yeah.
You guys are crazy. Yeah. No, God bless you, you guys. That you have the stamina to do that. That's incredible.
It keeps you young. You know, that's what I tell people. They say, "How do you have young children at your age?" And I say, it keeps you young. It's the best way to keep your youth going, because you're constantly being on the run, doing things. And,
yeah, they don't let you sleep.
No, not at all.
I feel like my music kind of does that too. Like it keeps
Yeah,
because the more we keep playing. Like we did a wedding this weekend, and we played from 2 to 10, no break. So it was 8 hours of constant music, and not only that, but we had I had to be there for the Here Comes the Bride and make sure I didn't screw that up. Yeah. And then the song after they were married was that was it the This Will Be Our Everlasting Love. So but we had to hit it right on time. So that was
Cole.
Yeah. So that was nerve-wracking, But then we played, like I said, straight through dinner music and bar music and then dance music. So it was 8 straight hours, and then we turned around and we're in Darien Lake yesterday for 3 hours, and we're driving home listening to radio, and my wife and I were both singing. I'm like, here we just did this weekend of like 11 hours of music, and I just love it so much, and it keeps you.
You think of it, all those hours you could have spent sitting in front of the television
doing nothing,
binge watching Netflix shows.
Right. Yeah.
So
you're
out. You're
I did some of that too. And
well, it's a balance,
I got to say, you got to check out that Godzilla -1.
Oh, fantastic!
I couldn't believe it when it was on Netflix.
I watched it the other night, and I was amazed at how good it was. How emotionally powerful. Because you don't want to think emotion and Godzilla go together.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought it blew away like the CGI
pulls it off. Yeah, it was really something to see. I really enjoyed it.
Did you watch the English dub, or did you?
I watched the Japanese subtitles.
Did you see? I can't read my movies. I watched the English.
Diana
dub.
can read it to you as it goes along.
She was doing something else. I think. no, actually, she watched it too and really enjoyed it. And she said that's not like usually her type of movies,
right?
But it really worked out.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we'll talk. One of the things I'm really happy about is that how long ago was it the reunion? 3 years ago has it been now?
It'll be 3 years this summer, which is 2 years this summer.
Only 2 years that was the first one, because I remember everyone got COVID afterwards from Tommy.
Oh yeah, so the St. France reunion.
The St. France.
Oh, the St. France reunion. That'll be 4 years in October.
4 years, and here I made this little post on Facebook, and I said, I've gone to the high school reunions and everything. I've seen those people and that, but I was really struck and wondering what happened to a lot of St. Francis folks. And I just made I wonder how those people are doing. And the next thing I know, I was in charge of starting this reunion up with people that I hadn't seen.
Yeah.
Bob Simbita,
since graduation.
Kevin Steinig, a lot of since Bob didn't go to high school with us.
Exactly.
So I haven't seen Bob since probably 8th grade.
Yep.
And
Jody
and we had a great turnout.
Yeah, we did.
Of people, and it ended up being a great night.
Yeah.
And we even got, who got Miss Buffamani to come? Was it Monica?
Monica, I believe.
Monica or Joyce Hoffman?
One of them, yeah.
Got Miss Buffamani to come. Now, Miss Buffamani was our 5th grade teacher who we were in. She might be the reason why you got 6 kids going.
Tom and I enjoyed having Miss Buffamani when we were adolescent
5th grade.
boys,
Yeah, she was a beautiful woman, and still is.
She still is.
And I'll tell you what, that was one of my favorite moments of the reunion, was finding out we were her first job.
Yeah.
And she couldn't believe that we remembered her.
Yeah.
So she was actually crying.
She was emotionally touched by it. It was a wonderful.
It was one of the best nights that I can in last 20 years of my life.
In spite of 4 people getting COVID.
And people did get COVID, but it was a well-deserved COVID, well-earned COVID. It was great, and we've all gotten together the whole group every year since, and well, me, you, and Kev, and Bob, and Jeff Inman, we get together on a pretty regular basis, probably once a month or so. So, which reminds me, boys, if you watch this, Kev, Jeff, Bob, we're due. It's been a month, so we're due for a night out. Yeah.
We always say those are the best of times because you make friends throughout your entire life, and you can make really close friends as you get older. But those people from those fundamental years, when you're young, those friendships are really special in a lot of ways.
Well, that's when you're forming.
Yeah.
And it forms who you are, and you can't escape it. With St. Francis, and we're going to talk about the situation with St. Francis going on right now, too, in a couple minutes. But what we learned from St. Francis, going there all those years, it's something you can't. It becomes a part of you. Right. Here I'll be 60, and I think you beat me to it, right?
I did, January.
You turned January. I'll be July 20th. I'll be 60. Yep. So. I'll treat you with more respect, being that you're that much older than me. Yeah. You can't run away from what we learned. It's just embedded in your soul.
It becomes part of you.
It becomes part of who you are, and it becomes who you teach your children who to be. And I thought it was a great. A lot of the things. It was just a great way to grow up. So we had some rough teachers. We laughed about Sister Margaret Ann. Yeah. She was tough.
Sister Wilma.
Sister Wilma was tough. Mrs. Hedges or Miss Hedges, whatever. Yeah, but in between that, we had people like Miss Buffamani. Right. I always like Miss
Hoodmaker.
Hoodmaker. Yeah. And probably the one of the great influences in my life was Monsignor Miller.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who was just a great man.
Really kind man.
He was just a great man. We both altar boyed when we were kids, and I just learned a lot from Monsignor Miller, and I would look forward to hearing him talk his sermon, and that was always a high point for me. It sounds kooky,
absolutely
to say, but there was actually a point when I was younger, back maybe in 6th, 7th grade, where I thought I would like to be a priest, and then I realized you can't go out with a girl or anything. So I said next. I'll do something else. Yeah. I go from that to I'm going to sing rock music.
There you go.
So no, but it was a good. Just the memories I had from that, and it was great to catch up with everybody, and everybody looked great, and there's still who's a better person walking the earth than Monica Saltarelli.
Absolutely.
She's just a wonderful lady. Yeah. And it's our pleasure that we went to school with her. Right. It's just been great catching up and reforming that bond with all these guys after so many years. I think that myself personally, between you guys and I'd say my bandmates that I've known the longest, I think that's something special. Diana doesn't have friends like that she hangs out with.
Many people don't. Yeah.
And we're talking here 56 years of stuff. I think that's really cool.
And that's the benefit of growing up in a place like Tonawanda. Mm-hmm. You can maintain those contacts, and even though people move away, a lot of times they end up moving back.
Yeah, I'm a little out there. I'm just in Amherst, so I'm not that far from it.
But Tonawanda at heart.
But Tonawanda, I'm still a warrior. I'll always be, and I'm
not a Timberwolf.
I'm always a proud alumni of St. Francis. Yeah. So some of the great memories, as I said. Now we got to talk about what's happening here. Yeah. Now they're going to be closing it down, and that's just heartbreaking.
It is, and. As a lot of you might know, the Diocese of Buffalo has been undergoing a process where churches have been grouped together in families, and now the decision is being made to eliminate some of those churches within each family. And last week, the announcement was made that the recommendation to the diocese is to close St. Francis and merge it with Our Lady of Chesterhover over on Oliver Street in North Tonawanda. And obviously, it's news that is very upsetting to a lot of people in the Tonawanda community. You don't have to be a member of St. Francis to understand that this is a big blow to the city, to the entire community. The work that St. Francis does throughout the community. And we have a food pantry, for instance, that feeds 140 families a month, a nonpartisan food pantry, which if this recommendation is approved, that can be lost to the community. So it is difficult, and especially difficult for people like us who have those formative relationships that go back decades with the church.
I mean, I was more of, I hadn't gone in a long time. You kept trying to talk me into going. Now I feel horrible that I did. My thing, I would go to the chapel a lot, 2 or 3 times a week, and pray, mainly because, that's where my mom and dad are there. Mm-hmm. And my sister's there now, and my aunt, I have family. And then I see, speaking of like Bob Sambita, I see his family there, and I see other friends' family there.
I have family, yeah.
And so there's just something about the chapel for me that I just felt, when I wanted to go and pray, that I just felt at home. And it's something at ease, Yeah. And we were talking about that, and you said that they're not going to close that?
The chapel cannot be closed because it is, as we just mentioned, a columbarium. So with the remains interred there, state law prohibits them from closing that. People have access to the relatives' remains, and they cannot be moved. So the chapel will remain open. Again, the problem is it's not large enough to accommodate weekly mass.
Right.
There's funerals, and in fact, my nephew just had his funeral there a couple months ago. Smaller weddings, but weekday masses, but not weekend masses. So there's going to have to be some kind of provision made for that.
Right. I wanted to, like I said, my family's all there, and that's where I wanted to be laid to rest too. And you're saying that. We were saying before we went on that you can still do that?
Absolutely.
But you have to go where now?
To the family offices for the family, which is at St. Christopher's.
St. Christopher's.
So, well, they're currently at St. Jude's, but the idea is St. Jude's is one of the churches also
that's going to be
closed. So
closed down.
There's a lot of uncertainty involving the entire situation at this point. It's fluid, let's put it that way. And in fact, the recommendation is to close St. Francis, so it's not a final decision.
It's not final. Aren't there meetings going on tomorrow and Wednesday?
There are ongoing meetings. There's one Wednesday at OLC at 1 o'clock, then 1 o'clock to 6, another at Thursday at 6 p.m. at St. Amelia's. But, recommendations are difficult to turn the trajectory of the diocese.
It almost feels like it's a done job.
It's not completely settled, but again, the diocese is not really known for being open to changing their mind once a recommendation has been made. But who knows? There's a lot of good people working on keeping the church community alive. So we've got a lot of good people working on it, and we're hoping that maybe they can make some headway and convince the diocese that this is a wrong-headed decision, which by pretty much everyone's has ascertained that it's a wrong
decision. You go inside and it's so beautiful in there.
Yeah.
It's a work of art, and it's what would happen to it when they close it down.
The diocese, or the community of St. Francis is over 140 years old. So it's been a mainstay of the Tonawanda society for going back to the 1870s actually. My family's been there almost that long, continuously. So it's difficult for a lot of families like mine who have a lot of years of roots there, and it's difficult for anyone who's made it their spiritual home.
Well, I think almost every one of our friends that we went to school with falls into that. Their families have been a part of that for years. I mean, just going back to us is 56 years.
Yeah.
So, and then you add on top, my mom and dad were married in 1950. So that's how many? That's 74 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were married I believe it was where the chapel is now, or wasn't there a building like right next door to the chapel? Because the chapel used to be our gym.
Right. Yep.
And I think next door to that they had
by the time we were there, it was a convent.
No, I'm not talking about the convent. I'm talking on the opposite side of that.
Oh, where the rectory is?
Where there was, and that's where they were married, like right there.
Oh, okay.
And then my sister was married at the church. My cousin was married at the church. My dad got his sacraments when my dad got when he had cancer. He wasn't brought up Catholic, and then he ended up. Monica Saltarelli was his coach, and he got his sacraments there before he passed away, and the church meant a great deal to him. So and like I said, it's just such a beautiful.
It is.
We spent I would altar boy 5 days a week there.
Yeah.
And some Sundays
we loved it when we were able to be altar boy for weddings or funerals because you got a little money there.
You did, and I used to like doing the masses during school because I could get off of school.
Exactly. We loved going to school, but we didn't mind an hour.
Tom loved going to school. I was writing stupid books and passing. But no. In all seriousness, man, St. Francis means a lot to all of us, and I guess it's going to have to carry on through us for the rest of our lives, and what we hopefully it doesn't. The memories don't die off when we pass. And hope I'm going to have to go to the St. Christopher's, I guess, and check in, because I really do want to be laid to rest with my family there, and I hope that stays functioning in that. And do you any word, like, is it still going to be like open during the day in that the chapel?
I don't know. Right now they hold morning masses there on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to change, if they might increase, or they might diminish. I really don't know. So, again, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered as this process moves forward.
Yeah. Well, do you remember going? What was your favorite memory going to St. Francis?
I loved just to build up to Christmas. I think when we were kids, we'd have the gift exchange the day before Christmas vacation, and that was always a wonderful experience. Because when you're a child, Christmas is this time of total magic and wonder.
Right.
And we were in school and just making the Christmas decorations and getting excited for the Christmas season. I'll always remember that.
I remember I always loved movie day. When they had the movie day, we'd go down into the cafeteria and then they'd play a movie. And my favorite memory is when we 8th grade went to Boston.
That was
Tommy and I sat next to each other and we fought about music the whole way. And then wasn't Jeff Inman's dad one of the
chaperones? Yeah.
I remember us having a big sing along at the end.
Absolutely.
And like having no voice when I got home.
And we rode our bikes around Hyannisport in Cape Cod.
I remember going on a subway. Like, I don't know if we snuck away, but I remember going on a subway.
Yeah.
I remember going bowling.
Yeah.
And
10 pins, or 10 pins as they call it there.
Yeah. And I remember seeing the buskers like on the streets.
Yeah, it was truly an amazing experience, that vacation.
Yeah, and again, that was another great bonding experience. With all the people, because when we had our reunion, a lot of people talked about that,
Absolutely.
So, and then Tonawanda High School, grew up. I remember going there 9th grade and being, both of it, we were hanging out, and me, you, and Nikki Sear in particular.
As everyone else went to O'Hara.
Right. A lot of people that we went to O'Hara, and I knew
they ended up at Tonawanda, but they started at O'Hara.
Right. But a lot of them didn't. A lot of them stayed. Never came back. But I remember. Who Kevin stayed there. Vinny David was there, and from.
Well, Vinny started O'Hara.
Did he?
Yeah, he lasted
I don't remember that.
And then came over along with Jeff Inman.
Jeff started there too.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But see, that's what happens when you turn 60.
Yeah.
And it was a great way. I look forward to our reunions and to our get-togethers, and that's one of the reasons I want to make this video too. Is if you got someone in your life out there that you haven't talked to in a while, that meant something to you in your lifetime, don't be afraid to reach out and to get a hold of that person, because it can be so rewarding.
And the idea is that even if it's been decades, you find out that once you get together, you just fall right back into it.
Yep.
And there's no awkwardness of years between at all, and we just all fall right back into it, and the memories start to flow, and the laughs start coming, and it's just it's one of the best experiences you can have as you move through life, I think, reconnecting with people from your childhood.
Well, quote Springsteen, it's the ties that bind.
Ties that bind, absolutely.
And those initial years, we all grew up experiencing the same things.
Great music.
And we did.
We
got our kiss.
We took it for granted at the time, all that great music we were surrounded by.
There's not a lot of. You got to really dig now to find great music. Yeah. I'm enjoying seeing you got the Beatles up here. We were very fortunate.
We were
coming up in the 70s, and I talked with some of my musician friends about this too. We had the 50s, the 60s to guide our way, and then I think into the 70s became the best music.
Right,
absolutely. And the production was great,
and the variety. You could watch a show like the Midnight Special and see Jim Croce to Kiss, to Joni Mitchell to Deep Purple, all in the same
show.
Yeah.
Here comes Dr. Hook, and now here's Chaka Khan.
Yeah.
So and MTV and I kind of killed that video. Well, there was some video killed the radio star.
Right.
I thought the lyrics too. You could go to sleep. I used to go to sleep at night, and certain songs, you made your own story to it.
Right.
I'll take a song like "Please Come to Boston." I remember falling asleep to that, and then you could almost picture a movie in your head,
right.
or like you mentioned, Jim Croce, the great lyrics that he wrote, and we lost in that period. I always put Jim Croce, Roberto Clemente, and Freddie Prinze in this because it was all like around that same period where they were like rising stars that passed away tragically, and Freddie killed himself, but the other two were plane crashes. And it was just a time where like I said, all that great music kind of became one,
and we thought it would always be like that,
and we were wrong. It started becoming corporate in the 80s with the videos and with all that. And 90s, I think bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam tried to get some of that back. Mm-hmm. They kind of killed off the hair bands, but then it's still, like I said, you really have to fight to find the good music.
It's really music by committee, corporate committees pretty much.
Radio. I just finished reading a book by a guy named Jim Santella, I believe his name was, and he was a DJ for the original before when 97 Rock became 97 Rock.
I remember.
And WPHD,
mm-hmm.
and he passed away recently, and he actually autographed his book for me a few years back, and I was rereading it after he passed, and great experiences that he had. He went to Woodstock, and in the book he shared his interview with Joan Baez, mm-hmm. and just a great. But one of the things that killed him was how they killed radio, right. where the DJs didn't have a word in what they were playing anymore. It just became corporate, and you could do a whole week show in an hour, and then just it was all pre-recorded stuff.
And the local radio stations are gone. They're all owned by large conglomerates who own multiple stations in multiple cities, so you don't really have a variety anymore. You travel across the country, you're going to hear the same music programmed the same way.
That's why I enjoy. We have satellite radio, and I enjoy listening. I have like one of my favorite. Tom Petty channel is one of my favorites because they have archives of him actually DJing, and he actually wrote that song, "The Last DJ," that talked about this. And all these other channels where they have personal DJs on there telling the stories and keeping the music alive. Mm-hmm. That's important to me, to me. And I think music, personally, for me, I've seen the magic that can happen with people that are sick, people that are older, that the music brings them to life.
Absolutely.
And with us, we can go back and not see each other, but we can hear a song and take us right back to when we were 10 years old, and
songs that you've written. That what I'm going to say. There's this song "Smiling." Your song about you. It's a fantastic song.
Thank you.
It really is.
Unfortunately, it's one of those songs that as you get older and you lose people,
it's difficult for you to play. It's difficult to listen to sometimes.
It's emotional to sing. I get choked up sometimes singing it.
It's a great song
because when you're younger, and that's what that song's all about. Is when you're younger, when you're a kid, you have your mom and your dad and your grandma and your grandpa and your sisters and your brothers and your cousins, and you think that, and friends. I mean, I've lost all of them. A lot of those groups. Yeah. You think that that's going to last forever,
it's
though.
Going to be that way. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, one by one, you grandparent and parent. And
you mentioned that. I remember when I was younger, and on the weekends, it would be big family gatherings here, and all my aunts and uncles, my cousins.
We had that too.
And I remember sometimes thinking, why do they have to be here again today? Well, why can't I want to do my own thing? I wish all these people would go home. And now they're all gone. And I would do anything to have them back for.
Well, that's even in my song there you're talking about. There's a line, I'd give anything just to see them again.
Right.
And that's the truth. And that's what made reunions like this so special. And what we were able to accomplish with our St. Francis friends getting together again. It's those moments while we're alive to celebrate those times and those people. And as this has been a great time, I thank you for doing this with me and celebrating again one more time. Go out and check out Amazon and buy Impressions by Tom Joyce. You're going to like it. It's a nice reading, like you said, if you're on the beach or if you're sitting there in bed at night before you go to sleep. It's got a lot of deep thoughts to it, and not by Jack Andy.
Yeah.
No, it's a great book, and please go out there and support Tommy with that.
And show up at Tom's show, and him, Diana. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen them live. It's a great experience. You know, I love the range of music you guys do. You know, it's different decades, but somehow it's different decades of different genres. But you guys,
you got to bring it all in.
Tie it
well,
together.
That's because again, that's the love of it. Like to me, there's no like country rock or whatever type of music you want to put it
really well
because it's a part of you. I think when you live the song, I hate seeing people like reading lyrics, because it takes it away. You have to live the song when you're singing it, right. and it doesn't matter what type of song it is. If you believe in it, it's going to come true. It's going to be,
and I think that comes through in your guys' performances.
Well, we just love it. We just love it.
She's Diana has an amazing voice.
She does.
It's very, very.
I corrupted her very badly. I apologize to her every night. But anyway, that's going to do it for our Hanging with Hastings for this week. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Again, you got a friend out there that you haven't talked to in a long time.
Make the effort.
Make the effort. You'll thank yourself, and they'll thank you, and it just enriches your life.
Absolutely.
So until next time, we'll see you soon, and thank you, Tommy, for doing this.
Thank you.
We'll see you, folks. Have a good day, and be good to each other.
Always.